So one of the guys I work with, one of my colleagues, was asking what kind of guns should he get for carry. And there's two kinds of guns you get that aren't like collecting guns or hunting guns. Defense guns, which are either carry guns or home defense, right? Truck defense. And I'm going to try to go over the carry guns that I looked at, I tried, and then at the end I'll go over the three that I actually choose to carry. Now, it has to be said that when you're carrying a gun, or you even have a home gun, I think of three things that can land you in hot water, and I call them felony actions or convictable bullet points. And number one is convictable distance. Now remember, police go by a whole different set of rules than a civilian. And police have certain duties they have to perform and laws they have to follow. But civilians, it's just a different story when you're being brought in front of a jury, right? If you don't do the responsible thing. Now remember, every bullet out of your gun, every time you pull that trigger, you're responsible for what happens, right? And that could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in attorney's fees. So, three convictable things to remember. Distance, convictable distance. And remember, this isn't me. This is the way kind of the law works, the way court works, juries. Number one, convictable distance. If you're 15 feet or more and you're firing at somebody, you're probably going to have some issues. It's really hard for a defense attorney to defend why you thought your life was in danger when the danger is 15 feet away. I know it happens. They could be shooting at you. I get that. But the way the law works, and when you go in front of a jury, you got to keep that in mind. It could be a jury of anybody. Number two, convictable amount of rounds you're going to fire. In the news, when they talk about a police shooting, the first thing they always talk about is how many rounds the cop shot. Oh, the cop shot 30 rounds, 100 rounds, 20 rounds. It's important. Now, you as a civilian, if you're going to fire 10 rounds, you better be able to justify each one of those rounds. Because remember, each one of those rounds, you're responsible for it. You're responsible for your pre-thought, the thought during the shot, the afterthought. And you have to explain that 10 times over if you take 10 shots. And that kind of plays into the capacity of pistols, right? Now listen, somebody's shooting at me, I'm going to take advantage of all the ammunition I have in that pistol to defend my life. But that doesn't mean when you go into court, the juries are always going to see it that way, and you've seen that many times. And the third one is convictable gun type. Well, what does that mean? Well, if I defend myself from an intruder, and I go to court, and it's a 12 gauge shotgun with buckshot in it, and it's got a wooden stock, people know that as a home defense gun. They're gonna like, okay, guy grabbed his shotgun, defended himself. I don't know with the wind if you can hear me. Now, if you change that up and the prosecutor puts a AR-15 with a Trijicon sight and lasers and a flashlight up, it looks like a military weapon. The prosecutor's going to say he defended himself in a paramilitary way, and they're gonna harp on that. If you're using AK-47 to defend yourself, say some homeless dude's just on crack, and they're gonna make you seem evil. So, convictable distance, convictable amount of times you're gonna shoot the gun, and convictable gun types. So just keep that in mind when you're choosing your self-defense gun. So it is windy today. I don't know how well this mic's gonna pick me up, but we'll give it a try. All right, so let's go over the pistols that we took out today. And so this is a Smith & Wesson. I think they call this the Bodyguard. So Smith & Wesson Bodyguard. All right. Now this first one isn't really for self-defense or something you're gonna carry with you. I'm gonna have a little fun with it today. This is the 22 caliber MP5. I just want to do some shooting today with it. All right. Next is our Beretta XI with the flash What it does is it keeps the gun nice and level. Trijicon red dot and a flashlight mount. Then we have a Smith & Wesson 357 snub. And it's really getting windy. Hope you can hear me. And then we have the Smith & Wesson. This is the M&P 5.0. 22 M&P Smith & Wesson. Alright, and this is and these are 686s, by the way. 357 Smith & Wesson. 357 Ruger. I believe this is the 101, something like that. Another Smith & Wesson. This is the Shield 9mm. What else we got in here? 1911 Kimber Custom 1911 45 cal. And then one I haven't shot yet. We'll be shooting this today. Walther PPK, the James Bond gun. So we'll go over each one of these, the good and the bad. Oh, one more. Glock 43X. And that's it. So we'll go over each one of these pistols and talk about what's the good, what's the bad, and what I would recommend, or maybe the top 3 that I would recommend. And all right, carry. And I'm talking about the Beretta XI, the 92 XI, right? So let me grab one of the magazines for it. And the reason why I think it's a little impractical is when you put that red dot on it, when you put the flashlight on it, it's all cool stuff. Definitely will help you. But man, carrying that thing around, it's I know it wouldn't fit well on me, and it would print really loud, meaning people will see it under your clothes. It's a really heavy gun. Now for a bedside truck gun, keeping it in your glove compartment, great gun, right? So let's take a couple shots with it. You know, with the red dot sight gives you that accuracy. The flashlight, you know, at night, the flash, what the hell do they call that? The flash thing. Well, it keeps the gun level. So let's take a couple of shots with it. Great gun, although we did just have a jam there. It's a little finicky with the or when you put a different caliber in there than that what belongs. Somehow I gotta, oh no, these are these hollow points. These hollow points don't work in anything. I don't even know what kind of hollow points they are, but they're junk. So that's the 9mm Beretta XI. All kinds of fun stuff on it. All right, so the next gun, I really like this gun, is the 9mm M&P 5.0, and it's made by Smith & Wesson. Great gun. Again, I think it's more of a truck gun, a bedside gun. It is a little big for me to carry, but great quality gun. This is all iron sights, so not really recommended to carry unless you figured out a way to do that, or you do carry outside of your belt, which I don't like that. For you, that's great. For me, I like to carry concealed. So great gun. Goes through bullets like it's nothing. Accurate. Like I said, more of a truck gun or a bedside gun. It's kind of big. Another gun, another big one, as in size, is the Kimber 1911, or basically any 1911 .45 caliber. Again, a gun I love shooting. Unless I'm carrying open carry, it's a hard gun to conceal. So I don't particularly fancy carrying this one. Again, good bedside gun, good truck gun. It's kind of limited on its rounds. It's only about 7 rounds. But again, I talk about that felony or the convictable amount of bullets you're going to fire. So I think this falls within that, but it's still a big gun to shoot. So, Kimber 1911 .45 caliber, better for a bedside or glove box gun. All right, the next pistol is the Ruger GP100 .357. You can conceal it, but it's just not really all that practical. Another open carry size kind of firearm. It's a full size firearm. And we're going to do this, and then we got the Smith & Wesson full size .357. Then we'll start getting into the smaller guns. That's the Ruger GP100. Let's go right into the Smith & Wesson, because it's basically almost like the same gun. Now, what you can get is a speed loader. This one is 7-shot. So I can place the speed loader on here. Just to give this a little twist at the top, and the bolts fall right in for the most part. Come on, man. There you go. So this is the Smith & Wesson 686 .357. I don't know if you can hear me with this wind. All right, so now we'll get into the smaller guns. All right, so the next pistol is this very beautiful, elegant 686 from Smith & Wesson. It's a snub nose 686 .357. Very, very pretty gun. The problem with carrying this one, even though it is concealable, it's all steel, so it's very heavy, and it's gotta have a pretty good belt. You're gonna carry this one. So 686 from Smith & Wesson, and this is a performance center gun. Just means it's got a little bit higher quality sights, and as you can tell, it's a smooth cylinder there. And that's also a 7-shot. So I don't recommend it, at least for me. This piece is pretty big. Well, it's thick, and it's heavy gun. The PPK, the Walther PPK, the James Bond gun. I've never shot it. It is very small. It is concealable. I'm having a problem finding a holster that it fits in correctly. But it is a very small gun. It's concealable. The trigger is really heavy, and which is good, because if you put it in your pocket, make sure you don't have anything in your pocket. It's a heavy pull on the trigger. Now, I just loaded a full magazine in there. If I pull the trigger, nothing's going to happen, so I got to charge it first. So now it's loaded. I could drop the hammer. Oh, maybe I can't. Okay, I thought I could drop the hammer on that. Oh, yeah, there you go. Just have to push a little hard. Everything on this gun's kind of stiff. So I dropped the hammer. It isn't safe, so if I pull the trigger, nothing. So I can put in the fire. Now it's going to be like a revolver action, right? I've never shot this before. It's 380. Okay. Alright, not too bad. Pretty good, actually. I'll be shooting that more today when we're not doing the video. Alright, I'll have to shoot that more to get an opinion on it. But so far, not bad. Not bad. It's small. I like that heavy pull and trigger, or at least on the first shot. Then it sets back and it's pretty light after that. This is potentially a good carry gun. People are going to argue, but it's a 22. The Smith & Wesson M&P 22, right? And people say, 22 is not a good self-defense round. But it's not the best, right? It's not a great stopping round. But if you practice with it and you put the rounds in the right place, you could stop the threat just as well as any other gun. You could Google this, and I forget his name, it's Trooper Cole or Colin or something like that, but he had a subject. The guy pulled a Derringer one-shot 22 into the trooper's armpit. The trooper pulls his weapon, I believe it was a 40 caliber, put 5 rounds into the guy, right? The trooper goes to the front of his police car, he drops, he dies. That 22, when it entered his armpit, destroyed his aorta. Trooper bled out within a minute. The guy who got shot 5 times and 5 contacts from that 40 cal, I believe it was 40 cal, 40 or 45, that person lived. So, bullet placement can stop a threat even if it's a 22. Now, would I recommend 22 as a carry gun? Maybe if you have somebody who's afraid of the higher calibers, and you know the 22 is better than nothing. So I guess, yeah, it could be a carry gun. For me, no, I'm going to carry at least a 9mm or even that 380, which I'm going to shoot right after this again because it seemed pretty fun. But 22, Smith & Wesson, M&P. You know, I hit every single one of those rounds on the metal target very fast. Now, if that was a threat, I probably would have stopped that threat. So don't ever discount a 22. And I have no idea if the wind is as bad as I think the wind is going to be. So for that, we're going to shoot the PPK one more time and do a mag change because it's my first time shooting this and it seems pretty fun. Mag change, not used to it. Very small. Alright. Pretty cool gun. I might carry that. For concealed, I never carry open. I always carry concealed. And we'll go through each one of those pistols and why. Starting with the M&P. The M&P Smith & Wesson Shield. Smith & Wesson is a very reliable gun. It's the older M&P, so it only has 7 rounds. Not even sure if these are full mags, but only carries 7 rounds. 7 rounds. I think that's okay. Amount of rounds. I'm cool with that. But it's 7 rounds. It's a small pistol. It could fit right in a pocket or something like that. I do carry it concealed inside of the belt, holstered. It's one of the reasons why I like it. The other reason, it has a history of being very reliable. Though they make new models of the M&P Shield that carry, I think, 15 rounds. So it's even better. Let's take a couple shots with this. This is one of my what I call summer guns because it's smaller. And when I'm not wearing a lot of clothes, this is the gun that I'll wear. Usually I'll take this if I'm going downtown, you know, First Fridays, somewhere like that, or even just out to the grocery store or on the motorcycle. All right, so let's get ready for a mag change on this one. All right. All right. The target fell, but that's okay. We'll continue. right. So that's the M&P Smith & Wesson, Smith & Wesson Shield. I'm sorry, it's not the M&P. It's the Smith & Wesson Shield 9mm. That's 1 out of 3. The other one, very, very well known, as well as the Smith & Wesson, but this is the Glock 43X. Probably the gun I carry the most when I'm going to the store, going out, or anywhere where it's like the threat could be on 2 legs, right? So let's go through. This is also 9mm. Again, it's a Glock, extremely reliable. That's like the #1 thing. If I'm going to carry a gun, it's got to be reliable, got to be small, and I got to feel like if I need to stop something, it's going to stop something. 10 rounds, plenty enough rounds for me. So, take a couple shots. Oh, probably should. Yeah, very reliable. That's 2 out of 3. Now, 3 out of the 3. The Bodyguard, Smith & Wesson Bodyguard. So 2 out of my carry guns are Smith & Wessons, one's a Glock. This is just a 5-shot, and it's a 38 special, but it does take 38P, which is plus, which is more powerful than 38 special, not as powerful as 357. I take this when I'm hiking, doing my nightly walks. You know, if I'm going somewhere like on the res where there could be wild animals like dogs, wild dogs, I'll take this gun. Not extremely accurate. It's also good close quarters, and I'll get into that in a second. So let me take a couple of shots. Again, this is only 5-shot. All right, so let me stop the video so I can load these back up and go over why I prefer this for close quarters interaction, meaning hands-on defending yourself. I call my little Bodyguard my ATM gun, and I rather have that than the Glock or the Smith & Wesson, because the Glock and the Smith & Wesson are slide action, or semi-auto, I should say. Auto loaders. Auto loading, I forget what the right nomenclature of that is. Anyway, so this is loaded up. Let me load up the Glock. Okay, so scenario, you're at an ATM. Somebody sticks a knife to you, sticks a gun to you, or let's stick with a knife, right? Lethal force. Now you're allowed to defend yourself against lethal force with lethal force. They have a knife, they pull it out, you start wrestling. They grab your gun. Now watch. I can still fire, right? I'm wrestling, I can still put rounds where they need to go. Let's try the same thing with the Glock. Look at that. Not shooting no more. Now, if I'm smart and I get that and I'm holding on to that action, I'm going to drop that magazine. Guess what? This Glock is nothing more than a hammer at this point. So, can't use it. Look at that. It's out of battery. All because I grabbed the top of it. Let's do that again. It fires, but if I put my hand on top of it, it comes out of battery. Notice my hand ain't all messed up either. I can grab that gun. Even when I take my hand off, it's a messed up slide now. So that's the one advantage over that the pistol does have over the slide action. So with all that, what do you think is your best carry pistol? Size, availability, make, quality, bullets, what you're actually think is the most likely scenario you're going to have to defend yourself. And you make your own choice. I made my choice. Either Smith & Wesson Shield, the Glock 43X, or the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard. Any one of these guns, I feel 100% okay with defending myself. All right, this is Ray. Talk to you later. Ciao.